Perfect. Cool. My talk's about application security engineering requirements and what it takes to become a security engineer these days. It's a short talk, but I want to make sure that you all know what hiring managers are looking for in a candidate. I'll talk a little bit about what I'm seeing in today's market and my philosophy around four buckets. Now, those are usually the skills that I look for in order to hire. And then lastly, there is no talk without talking about AI these days. So I definitely want to talk a little about AI and how it is changing things for the better, I believe. For those that don't know who I am, I'm Jeevan Singh. I did software development for over 10 years. I've been doing security engineering, AppSec engineering for about 10 years as well. I do a lot of OWASP things as well. So I co-lead the OWASP Vancouver chapter. We run a regional event, Application Security PNW, Pacific Northwest. So that runs between Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, and Victoria. And we rotate between those chapters. So next year, we're going to have the event in Victoria. And I've been in the industry for way too long, and I made a ton of mistakes. And I want to make sure that you all don't make the same mistakes that I have. So I want to give you all hints on how to avoid the mistakes that I've made. So today's markets and requirements. So the market has been rough for the last few years. And there haven't been as many security roles as we noticed post-COVID, like that short time right after COVID where everyone was hiring. And each security role is very highly competitive. Last year, I had 3 open roles for security engineers, and I had 1,500 applicants. So it is very competitive. I want to talk about how hiring managers think about their requirements and how you can be more competitive against other candidates so that you can provide the signals which the hiring managers are looking for. I did want to say that hiring is very difficult, obviously for the candidate, but also for the hiring manager as well. Hiring managers are very risk averse, and they rather take a safe bet when hiring versus the riskier bet. Because it is, you want to make sure that you are hiring folks that don't disrupt the team. A single wrong hire can really destroy your team culture and push your strong individuals to move away from that team or that company. And interviewing is a really flawed process. You only have a few hours to understand the candidate and if they will be a long-term good fit on your team. And I've seen hire managers actually pass on great candidates because they didn't get enough signals. It happens. So it's really important for you as candidates to understand the signals and what to show hiring managers. And hiring has major consequences. So if you hire poorly, you'll have tough conversations with the candidate that you hired. And as a hiring manager, if you've hired poorly several times, your manager is going to have tough conversations with you because hiring is a skill that all managers need to have. You're going to be hiring on a regular basis. You'll be growing your team. People will be churning. So you'll be hiring regularly. You need to make sure that you're hiring well. This is no longer a spicy take. In the past, folks, there were a lot more junior roles, but a lot of the industry were shying away from hiring junior candidates. And ever since I've been a hiring manager, I have yet to hire a junior candidate myself. And in my career, my security engineering career, I've only directly worked with a single junior candidate as well. So most hiring managers want to hire senior folks because those individuals will hit the ground running. Junior folks take time to train and could be a strain on resources before they are actually productive. So you're ready as this the talk is around lean. We're already lean. It's going to be really hard to be even leaner to train up folks. And senior folks are less likely to have performance issues just because they've been around and they understand what's expected of them. And from an entry standpoint, the market is demanding that all candidates have to have software development skills. It's a baseline requirement these days. So that means that it's not really, security roles are not really entry level at all. This is why it's hard for junior and intermediate candidates to get hired. And I also want to point out security engineers are engineers. So a lot has changed in the last few years, and we talked a little about software development being a baseline skill that folks need to have. Security engineers, the security engineering org cannot scale with the engineering org because they're growing way faster. So we have to build automated automations or controls on our side to make sure that we keep up with them. AppSec engineers in the past, it was okay for them to actually focus on security tooling and find vulnerabilities through the tools and throw it over the wall and give it to the engineers to fix. But that's not how we work anymore. We don't care how many vulnerabilities a scan picks up. We care about how many vulnerabilities have been remediated. So security engineers are expected to build secure paths in a least friction way to actually reduce the attack surface. Again, these are all reasons why security engineering roles are not entry level and why we typically don't hire junior engineers. So just a little takeaway, and this is mostly for junior folks, and also take this with a massive grain of salt. This is my experience. Everyone's path is different, so please carve out your own path. I've had a lot of folks reach out and mention that they don't want to take a software development role because they feel it's a waste of time. They're not doing security things, and I don't think that's true. Being strong at software development will absolutely accelerate your security career. And also doing a lot of different software development roles is important as well. If you do DevX, DevOps, infra, all of those sort of software roles really help round out your knowledge as a security engineer. So when you do switch over, you will be doing really well. Again, everyone's path is different. Find your path. It's great if you take a little bit of detour through software development. It'll pay dividends for you in the future. So what are these 4 buckets? Again, this is my concept and how I think about it, but I think a lot of hiring managers think the same way. There are 4 different areas that I look for candidates: application security skills, software development skills, soft skills, and particularly I always call it influence, and program management skills. And I'll break through those, break them down, each one of them. But I will show you a terrible table that I built and sort of try to walk you through it. At the intermediate, I do notice that intermediate, senior staff, and then say staff plus, staff, principal, senior staff, whatever those roles are above there, software development is required for all of those roles. For intermediate, I look at making sure that you have software development, but if you have some application skills, if you are good at communicating, or if you've done some decent program management, that's a huge plus for me. The senior, my expectation is that you're really strong at software development, but also you're strong at application skills. And I'm looking at strong communication skills or good program management for that level. But at the staff level, I'm looking at having strong capabilities in all 4 of those buckets themselves. So that's sort of how I think about at the leveling side of things. But what does the individual buckets mean? So when I talk about application security skills, I'm looking for folks that can perform a threat model, run a bug bounty, be able to work really closely with engineers about specific vulnerabilities and show them how to actually remediate those vulnerabilities. And they should be able to run and integrate those security tools. So if we're building out SCA capabilities, I do expect my security engineers to be able to integrate it into all of our repos, be able to pull in the data itself, and be able to work with that data. And again, my expectation is that you're looking at that data and understanding the story that data is telling you, and be able to think about, how do I remediate full classes of vulnerabilities? So how do I determine if an individual has these application security skills? There are different places where I look for these signals. So again, threat modeling is one of the things that I expect for application security skills, so you should be able to do that. We do have secure design rounds where we will present you a problem and we will work with you to come up with an architecture to deal with that particular problem. So again, that will make you sure that you have to go deep and understand what the problem is and the controls that you need to solve that problem. Secure code review is another good way for us to get signal if you are good at application security just in general. So those are the rounds. And I do have questions that I dive really deep with either in a hiring manager round or other rounds as well. So I talk a lot about web application vulnerabilities. A lot of the companies that I work for, we focus on web application. I also, I also ask general security questions, so around TLS, encryption, that sort of thing. And I also focus on talking more about the security projects that you work on. So during my hiring manager round, I'll ask a lot of different type of questions to get that signal that do you have those application security skills. And I also go deep on the question depending on, it helped me determine your leveling as well. Are you an intermediate, senior staff, principal, all that sort of stuff. The next bucket is software development. And software development comes in a lot of different ways. So it could be basic automations. So an example I give is pull data from an API and store it in a data lake. Or you go very, very deep and actually embed with an engineering team. So I want to talk through some of the different types. So advanced automations, some of the things that I expect folks to be able to do is be able to pull in data or use the automations to actually drive impact. Creating Slack bots to reduce friction with vulnerability tickets. The example here would be if a vulnerability ticket is coming up to an SLA, the Slack bot would message the assignee of that vulnerability ticket, let them know, ask them to either fix the vulnerability or ask for an extension, and it could be done all throughout Slack. So that's an advanced automation. Build security controls. I've had folks on my team create middleware. So anything in Edge Auth and middleware itself. And that's a level more difficult than some advanced automation. Being able to understand the application itself, being able to write middleware with an application, understanding all the edge cases, corner cases as well. I've had folks on my team build security features as well. SSO MFA are some examples, but being able to actually create security features and have users use those features will greatly reduce a particular risk. So around MFA, we want to make sure that we're reducing potentially ATOs, account takeover type of situations. And the last one, embed with engineering. There are sometimes you're building out really, really difficult or very fraud related type of functionality. I do want one of my security engineers to just dive deep and sit there with that particular functionality and that team so that they can actually build some of the engineering functionality, but also provide that security support. They're always constantly talking about security when building that functionality itself. So those are the different levels that I expect. This was pretty straightforward. How to get signals. We definitely have a software development round where we know that you can either code or you can't code, but also a secure code review round also gives us some more signal. Secure code review happens within AppSec teams, and it's an important software development skill to be able to read code as well. All right, a couple more buckets to go. This one is really important, having the soft skills, communication skills, being able to influence folks. We as security engineering teams, AppSec teams, we don't have the ability to actually fix things. We can't fix all of the vulnerabilities, and it's bad practice to fix all the vulnerabilities as well. But we want engineers to actually fix their own issues. And in order for us to actually get things fixed, we actually have to influence folks. And when I look for individuals, when I look at candidates, there's different levels of communications. So talking to most application security engineers have the ability to talk to an IC and be able to work with them to directly fix vulnerabilities. They go very, very deep on the technical side of things. At the next level is being able to influence engineering manager to make sure that they are able to influence them to actually fix vulnerabilities and know that security is a priority. Typically, you work with directors to drive a bit of the strategy, but also the direction. So you have to make sure at that level, there might be a security initiative that you have go on, you work really closely with the directors to make sure that their organizations are actually doing the right thing. So maybe you have in Q2, you're trying to finish all of the critical and high vulnerabilities. So you work closely with the directors and let them know where they are at with the process of it and which teams are lagging behind, which one of their teams are lagging behind. And VPs, you really talk to them to sort of drive strategy in their orgs. So all of these levels require different type of communications. At the VP level, they are expecting data in a certain way. And when you communicate them, they're expecting communications in a certain way. Whereas in IC, you have to be a lot more technical and really grounded in software with them. So how do I get signals for this? Literally every single interview round that you have as part of the hiring process, you'll get signals, you'll provide signals, we'll understand if you have a strong communication background in itself. And then we do have a thing called a career interview round where we talk about high impact projects and understand what you have done there. So it really helps understand how you are able to drive impact, but also how you have influenced the org as well. And sometimes I've done this before where I would invite an engineer to the threat modeling round. So the engineer would present a particular design, and you will work with the engineer for it. And the engineer would know if they can work with you in future threat modeling round, if you get hired future threat models as well. So sometimes I ask a question, maybe around web application vulnerabilities, and I role play as an engineer, and I pretend that I don't know anything about security. So I have the candidate to really explain the security concepts to me as an engineer, and I continuously ask questions if they go too deep. Okay, the last bucket, but I think this is a very underappreciated skill, is program management. A lot of security programs and projects they last 9, 12, 15 months long. And you really need to have strong program management skills to make sure that you successfully deliver the actual project. So that's the first part, is actually understanding what the goal of the project is, being able to create a proper document to align the rest of the team and the stakeholders on what the goal is, creating milestones. So you don't want to wait until the 12th month or the 11th month to deliver the actual project. You want to be able to show value throughout. So even as early as 2-3 months, you want to be able to have a milestone that will provide some value just in general. But it's also important to really hold stakeholders accountable. You're going to have a lot of stakeholders as part of these longer projects, and making sure that they are doing their things. And if they're not, you put their feet in the fire. And that's a hard skill to have as well. And what I've noticed is people are really bad at providing status updates. And leadership needs constant status updates, more particularly for these larger projects, to make sure that they understand where it's going. And if there's blockers or if it's off track, they need to know so that they can parachute in and provide support or help there. So how do I get signal? For this in particular, I spend a lot of time with the career interview round. So what is a career interview round? Usually we dive very, very deep into 2 projects that you worked at in daily separate companies where you had the most impact in those projects. And we would really want to understand, what's your role within the project? What did you do? How did you do it? What actual impact did it provide? And we're looking for folks that can understand how to run a large project, but data and metrics and understanding how impact is calculated. So an example is, say if you're integrating SCA at your company, it doesn't matter if you actually integrated the tool. We care about, did the engineers fix the vulnerabilities? And how did you measure it? Did you, initially when you integrated the tool, did you pull in all the data? Did you create trend charts? Are you still seeing things move in the right direction? Are there gates to prevent more critical and high vulnerabilities to be added into the ecosystem? These are all the sort of questions that we have when we talk about program management and really understanding how an individual did the work there. All right, those are the 4 buckets. Let's talk a little bit about AI and how it is changing the world. The good thing is I feel that AI is really helping us increase output and reducing toil on the teams. So, and it's helping both engineers and security engineers become more efficient. And we're able to be more productive now. So, and there are a lot of AI security tooling companies out there, and there's a lot of regular security tooling companies that are using AI to be more productive. So I'm starting to see Security Copilot to help threat model. I don't think I'm ready for AI to threat model itself just yet, but being a co-pilot and helping security engineers become more productive and doing more threat models, seeing tools that drive better SaaS outcomes. And I had a POC with a company that had AI tool that behaves like a pen tester. So there are a lot of different tools that are out there. It's going to really help us reduce that cognitive load, the toil that we have on our team, and be able to focus on really, really important tasks that we need to do. And I think we're going to start seeing fewer security folks within organization. We're going to start seeing fewer engineers in general as well. So I don't think that it will impact the ratios, and I think it might even be the reverse. We might see a better ratios for security engineers because there's going to be a new type of vulnerabilities around AI itself. But it will be possible that we will have really, really leaner teams in general, security and engineering, because these individuals are able to produce more. Their output is going to be a lot more. So um, again, sort of mentioned that security engineering isn't an entry-level position, and having a strong software development capability will help you land those senior positions as well. So really understanding software development AI will help drive your roles. So, and this could be a whole new world of vulnerabilities. So any time a new technology comes out, that means there's a new attack surface and new attack vectors. This is going to give us AppSec engineers new opportunities, but this will quickly become a requirement. Right now, it's optional and nice to have to see someone that's really good at AI and AI security. But I can absolutely see this become a fifth bucket, or potentially even be a part of the four buckets and more of a subset of your application security skills in itself. So folks learn more about AI, learn more about AI security gaps, and see how you can actually help folks in the future. Cool. I know I'm over time, so here are some resources that you all can use. You can take a screen cap. I've talked about this in a longer version in a different podcast. I have a blog about this as well. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have in the future. But call to action, become a stronger software developer. It'll help you in your security career. Soft skills, communication skills are so important. You need that to influence others to do the right security things. Understand how to roll out large scale programs, and think about milestones, and learn more and grow stronger within and beyond the AppSec domain.
Awesome. We are dropping those 3 links in the UI here. So if you want to go directly to them, you can click what Deepika has shared. And Jeevan, thank you. That was fantastic. We have so many questions. So I think we're going to save some of these for later because they'll build into other things we're talking about. So I'm going to start with a question from Mohammed that asks, what projects would you suggest to entry-level people looking to get into application security that would make them stand out in terms of software development, threat modeling, etc.?
Yeah, I wouldn't limit the software development type of projects themselves. Do anything. Do a lot of software development and do as much different type of software development as well. Like, the world is very different from when I was a software developer many, many, many years ago. We typically had just a front-end, back-end engineer back then, but now there are infrastructure engineers, there are platform teams, there's DevX, there's DevOps teams. So there's a lot of different teams in general. And for me, like I did a lot of those roles as a software engineer. So I actually did a lot of that DevX work. I want to make sure that the experience for developers were great. So I was able to do that. I did DevOps as well. And I even did product management for a time. I was an engineering manager, and the product manager for the team left. It took maybe 6, 9 months to backfill. So someone had to actually do sort of product management type of work. And all of that actually was very beneficial for me in my career. And it really helped me move very quickly on the security side of things. So the more you do, the more varied experience, the diverse skill sets you have will definitely make you a much, much stronger security engineer when you are able to pivot into security.
Awesome. And then I'm going to hit another question. How do you suggest one approaches the influencing part for dev teams to take action on security findings? We have automated audits set up and even create JIRA tickets so that app teams take action, but security is always the last priority till they get hit on with vulnerabilities. I'm going to start and then I'm going to hand it to you. What I find is if you aren't delivering within the flow. So going back to our lean AppSec principles, thinking about creating flow, thinking about creating pull-based systems. If you're not putting it within the flow of the developer, then that's going to create friction. So for example, things like JIRA tickets, that's not in my flow if I'm coding. That I have to go somewhere else to deal with that. And the other is context. If it doesn't have enough context, is it a truly exploitable vulnerability? Do I understand what it is? Do I have clear instructions on how to fix it? Then yeah, definitely it's going to be low priority. Jeevan, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And to add to it, security is a lot about trust. So they have to be able to trust you. So we talked a little bit about reachable. Is it actually exploitable? If you are putting a bunch of vulnerabilities that are probably not exploitable, they're going to start losing faith and trust into you. So you want to make sure that you're putting the right vulnerabilities out there. And unfortunately, security is really a top-down approach, just in general. So working with the VPs driving security strategy at the engineering VP level, making sure that they are aware of the initiatives that you're running, they bought into it, they are pushing their teams to actually do it. Engineers are going to listen to their VPs a lot more than they may listen to you. So making sure that in their chain of command, that the very upper levels are actually doing the right things there.
Yeah, and then I'm going to take one more question, and then we've got a whole bunch of others that I promise we'll get to in text or later in the session. So I like this one that just came in. With 3 years in AppSec or DevSecOps, this person has noticed the industry leaning more on tools than core security skills. I'm going to ask if you think that's true, Jeevan, if you're seeing the same thing. And this person continues to ask, what projects or areas would you focus on today to build real expertise and stand out beyond being just tool savvy? Great question.
Yeah, love the question. I think for me, I haven't experienced the same because it depends on the type of organizations you are at. If you are at very, very large organizations, I can see that having those security tooling abilities is probably more important. If you are in smaller organizations, 10,000 or less, I can see that having those core security skills will be really important. And again, what I want from my security engineers is to understand the data. And Jen talked a little bit about reducing the friction. Ultimately, I don't want my engineers to really think too much about security. I do want them to think about it when they're creating their requirements documents, their design docs. But beyond that, if they are using the secure pay path, the regular workflows that most engineers need to use, sometimes you have to go off the pay path. But if they use that, they should get a bunch of security things for free.
Yeah.
So stuff like if you maybe have an authorization framework, if you are doing your own weird authorization stuff, you're going to get in trouble. But if you use the regular framework that everyone else is using, our team will be focusing efforts on making sure that's secure and that's built in the right way. So those are the sort of things, like think at a very high level, think about remediating full classes of vulnerabilities that will help show the impact that you have during interviews themselves.
Yeah, and my favorite advice, and I don't even remember when I first got this, it wasn't in security or even in tech, is make the right thing easy, make the wrong thing hard.
Agreed, 100%.